Welcome to Riot Zone. Hi, I'm Corey Graves with my broadcast partners as always, JR, good old Jim Ross, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. We're going to have some great matches for you, and at the end of the night you will see a new number one contender crowned for the Women's Championship match just 1 week away at the first ever FBW pay-per-view event. It will be Charlotte the Queen taking on Lita, taking on the Boss Sasha Banks and Gail Kim. Who will win this big-time matchup? The match I'm really looking forward to seeing, it's going to be, wow, a really crazy one, is Daniel Bryan versus John Cena. Our world champion, Daniel Bryan, going against the larger-than-life name in John Cena. It's going to be something to see. It's going to be an instant classic. I'm going to love it exactly. I mean, it's going to be great. Well, guys, the match I can't wait to see is the first one we're going to have, and it's coming up next. That is Goldberg versus Chris Benoit, and it's coming right now. So, Goldberg versus Chris Benoit. This is actually a match I don't know if ever actually happened or not. I'd have to look that up. But either way, this match feels good. I think it's going to be really cool. So, they start off going nose to nose because Benoit ain't backing down from nobody, and Goldberg ain't scared of nobody who's 5'10". So maybe Goldberg pushes Benoit first, and after that Benoit gets mad. He gets in his face, like up in his face, and pushes him back, and it makes Goldberg go back a few steps, and he gets back up in Benoit's face, and they just start talking trash until ultimately, Benoit starts throwing chops at Goldberg. Chop here, chop there, chop, 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 chop. Then he gets behind him, he grabs him around the waist and tries to go for a German suplex. When he does that, though, Goldberg hits him with the elbow to the side of his head because he's got him wrapped around the waist from behind. So Goldberg throws an elbow to get him off, and it works. Whenever he does that, Benoit staggers around for a second. Goldberg is poised and ready for a spear. So he charges. Whenever he charges, Benoit kind of sees it coming and can hear the giant stomps coming from just feet away, and has enough wherewithal to grab Goldberg's arm and wrestle him to the ground, putting him in the cross space, but not before Goldberg is able to flip through, kinda. So instead of Benoit going all the way to the ground, he gets really close, but Goldberg is agile enough to flip and roll through. As he rolls through, he puts Benoit in his own heel hook or knee bar. Either one would work. Goldberg does both of them. I've seen both WCW to WWE. I've seen both. But hits him with that, and Benoit has to scramble and fight his way, dragging Goldberg to the rope. He gets a hold of that rope, man. After that, he kind of shakes it off. They're both like, okay. So Goldberg's like, all right. So this guy's a little bit smaller, but he's got a lot packed in his punch, you know. And Benoit says, now I know what the hype was about. This guy's scary. But, you know, like I said, neither are backing down. So, they tie up. Whenever they tie up, Goldberg pushes Benoit back into a corner and starts hammering him with shoulders to the abdomen, right to the midsection. He pulls him out of the corner, picks him up on his shoulder, and hits him with a big power slam to set up a spear. He's now poised again for that spear. Benoit stands up, starts staggering around, and boom! Hits the ground. You know, Benoit hits the ground because Goldberg just speared him. 1, 2, and Benoit kicks out at 2. Goldberg is a little bit frustrated, but it's not like he doesn't believe it can happen because he's seen it. He picks up Chris Benoit and throws his arm over his neck, is going for that jackhammer. Benoit hooks his inside leg so he can't do the suplex to him, and hits Goldberg with his own snap suplex. After he hits Goldberg with that snap suplex, He goes up to the top rope, gets all the way to the top, starts climbing, about to actually get in position to do a diving headbutt, but Goldberg's standing at that corner and he's climbed up onto the middle rope, trying to fight Benoit off from being able to do that diving headbutt. Now this is unusual territory for Goldberg, but for Benoit, he's seen this several times when he's fought giants. Headbutts Goldberg, ba-boom, 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 as many times as it takes, and Goldberg falls flat on his back on the mat. Benoit dives off that top rope, hits his diving headbutt on Goldberg, and it's 1. It's a 2. And Goldberg kicks out right at the last second. So Chris Benoit gets up, frustrated, and he starts trying to work Goldberg to the ground again. He grabs that arm, like immediately. He just gets up and goes straight for the arm. Grabs the arm, works him to the ground. Goldberg flips through, and whenever Goldberg flips through, he's in a standing position. Benoit's on the ground. Benoit scrambles to stand up. When he does, boom, he gets hit with a spear out of nowhere from Goldberg, who then picks him up immediately, hoists him up in the air, hits him with a jackhammer. 1, 2, 3. Goldberg wins this opener. And if I don't mind saying so, I think that is a pretty cool match right there. But after the match, Goldberg sees Benoit kind of sitting up and smiling, and Benoit looks up at Goldberg. Goldberg looks down and he just kind of like smirks at him, but he offers a hand to help him up, and then holds Benoit's hand up afterwards and points to him. And Benoit does the same for Goldberg, and they kind of both clap at the beginning. It's just a really nice, respectful, competitive match. Goldberg wins in the end, though.
Backstage again with you, it's JB talking to a WWE Hall of Famer, one of the founding members of Team Extreme, and one of the coolest ladies you will ever meet, Miss Lita. Lita, what did you want to say on here?
And then she goes and basically tells everybody that Lita saw Trish win the title, and it made her feel so happy and proud of a woman that she considers her best friend, someone that has built so much time with matches, having great matches against each other, having great rivalries against each other, having great team-up matches against each other. Not against, but with each other, and against each other as well. All the women's titles matches that the two have had against each other, but also all the great times they've had together as well. Just making her proud of her friend. She feels that she's a Hall of Famer, she's a multiple-time women's champion, she should put her name in that ring as well. So, she stepped in and put her name in there because she feels this match would be an outstanding match for not only her, for a chance for her to win the title, which is what she wants, but also a chance to put on a really, really good match. A classic for the ages with her best friend again. And that's pretty much the gist of what Lita says. JB sends it back to the guys at the ringside.
Now we're going to our second matchup of the evening. It is Rated Red versus Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio.
Alright, so Rated Red on a roll, 1-0 right now on Riot Zone. They're taking on Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio in this match. How will they fare? Let's find out. So they start off, Edge and Eddie Guerrero in the ring. They're tied up and they're doing really nice wrestling, textbook wrestling, a lot of chain wrestling, a lot of, arm drags, hip tosses, a lot of snapmares. Basically textbook day one wrestling stuff you learn. A lot of back and forth, Edge realizes he can't compete with Eddie on that kind of a level, because Eddie keeps besting him every time, you know. Edge thinks he's got something going, Eddie will reverse it. Eddie will block his attempt and keep him where he's at, I guess would be a better way of saying that as well. So he tags in Bubba Ray. Whenever Bubba Ray gets in the ring, he just starts beating Eddie. He's got a clear size advantage and just starts letting that control the match. Starts going back to what he knows and fist first, just beating the crap out of Eddie. He ends up like, I don't know, this about halfway through the match, Ray gets a hot tag in, starts doing some really nice head scissors, really nice stuff, springboard maneuvers, diving moves off the top, starts doing some crazy stuff. Both, let's see, Edge and Bubba Ray are on the outside of the ring. Ray runs and does a corkscrew over the top rope, lands on both of them, taking them out. Then he's back in the ring. When he gets back in the ring, Bubba tags Edge in. It's Edge and Ray in the ring. Eddie has been on the outside of the ring since he's tagged Ray in, but he's sneaking around the outside, close to the other side. Now this is closer to the 15-minute mark right here, closer to the end of the match. He's sneaking around to the side by Team Rated Red, and he's got a steel chair in his hand. He sneaks over there. He says, "Hey, I say," and Bubba Ray says, "What are you doing? What do you want, huh?" And then Eddie, bam, smacks the chair on the ring post and throws the chair down behind Bubba and falls down on the ground. The ref hears the chair hit the ring post, turns around, looks to the outside of the ring, checks on Eddie, and Eddie's just playing like he got hit, like he always does. He lies, cheats, he steals, and he's trying to get that victory by doing that in this match. But it kind of backfires on him. See, Ray hits a 619 and Edge stumbles backwards, and instead of falling down, he just kind of staggers backwards. Ray looks like he's waiting for something on the outside on that apron. He goes for a springboard in midair, and Edge spears him out of midair, pins him 1, 2, 3. After this, they both, Bubba Ray and Edge, take their feet and shove Ray to the outside of the ring, like just literally shoving them with their feet off the edge of the ring apron. They grab microphones and they say, "Get out of our ring," before they, put the microphones up their mouth to talk. They say, Edge is like, "We are the best. There's no one who is better than us. Period. We've held more tag team gold than anyone in the history of wrestling. We are here to lay claim to being the best team in FBW. No one is better than us." Then that's whenever this happens. Gong. The lights flick out. The lights turn off. They come back on, and a purplish color fills the arena. Yeah, you know what this is. Then out comes the Brothers of Destruction. They enter through the entranceway. They come out and they stand at the top of the entrance ramp. Kane and The Undertaker both are at the top of the entranceway, and Bubba Ray and Edge look terrified. And The Undertaker does his throat cut thing, and Kane does his fire explosion, which explodes both on the stage and out of the corner posts. And it scares the ever-living crap out of Rated Red. They're in the ring, and the rest of the evening from that point on, they have, when you see them at any point, they have this shaken look, this freaked out look on their face. All right, now we're going to the ring for a much anticipated match. Right now, it is CM Punk taking on Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus CM Punk, the voice of the voiceless versus the toughest SOB to ever live. They're mirroring styles. I mean, Punk and Austin are the same but different. They both spoke what they felt at different times in wrestling, and a lot of people have compared Punk to Austin, and actually there was a chance that we would have saw that a couple years back. By a couple, I mean back when CM Punk was still around, obviously, but Austin didn't want to come back, so it didn't ever happen. But here we go, CM Punk versus Steve Austin. They both come to the center of the ring and start talking trash to each other, just smiling at it. They're both just talking trash pretty much at this point. Austin puts up a middle finger to CM Punk. Punk goes to swing first, but Austin catches his punch, starts throwing punches of his own. Then Punk gets backed into a corner because Austin's just nailing him right hands. He gets Fist of Fire going. He gets a stomping a mud hole into him. Picks Punk up out of the corner and throws him to the outside of the ring. And from there, they brawl for a while on the outside. Neither man really having the advantage. Just swinging punches, throwing each other into everything pretty much. But after a little while, Austin really starts giving it to Punk. Starts throwing him into quite literally everything. Announce table, stairs, ring post, apron, barricade, all of it. Austin's just giving him an old-fashioned beating, straight from the Attitude Era, pretty much. So, Austin clears off one of the announce tables and they climb onto the opposite one. Austin stands back facing to the cleared off announce table, puts Punk's arm over his neck looking for a suplex, gonna suplex Punk right through the other announce table from one to the other. Punk pulls his head out of that and just shoves Austin down onto the table. The table doesn't break or nothing, he just shoves Austin onto the table, and Austin's there for a little bit, kind of limps and staggers off of the table, gets to the inside of the ring, climbs to the top turnbuckle, and jumps. He hits a big elbow drop on Austin right onto the table, but the table doesn't budge. The table doesn't break. It doesn't shift, move, nothing. A lot like the time he tried the same move on The Undertaker at WrestleMania 29. Same exact thing happens whenever he tries it to Austin. It doesn't break. So he takes Austin and he rolls him into the ring, starts stomping him. He climbs to the top rope again, gets up there, points to the sky, says, "Best in the world!" and goes for another diving elbow, nailing it on Austin. He gets Austin up for the go to sleep. Gets him up on his shoulders. Austin starts elbowing Punk in the head, just elbow, till Austin finally is let down. He runs off the ropes, tries to clothesline Punk, but Punk ducks under it and hits Austin with a flurry of punches and kicks, sending Austin into the corner. Punk hits his running high knee into that bulldog on Austin. Austin goes straight to the ground. Punk gets up, puts his hands together right beside his face, time for the go to sleep, Gets Austin up on his shoulders again. This time Austin slides off the back of Punk. Punk quickly just whips around, catches a kick to the gut and a stunner. Austin pins Punk 1, 2, 3 and wins this match. So after the match, Austin gets up and kind of staggers and falls back into a corner, and he starts nodding. He looks at Punk and he nods and he says, "Throw me a beer," and he gets a beer. "Give me another one," and he has 2 beers in his hand. Punk gets up, he's at his knees, and Austin has 2 beers in one hand. Punk stands up. Austin reaches his hand out to offer a handshake. "That was one hell of a match, son." And Punk slaps slaps his hand away, starts talking trash, and then slaps Austin again. Austin just smiles, and he kicks Punk. Goes to kick Punk in the gut for a stunner, but Punk catches the kick, spins Austin around, picks him up on his shoulders, and hits a go to sleep. Punk standing tall. Afterwards, he opens both beer cans and just pours them on Steve Austin in the middle of the ring and leaves him in a beer bath of his own. JB back here again at Riot Zone backstage talking to... Give me that! Get out of here, weirdo! I'm talking to you, Randy Orton. The guy that takes other people's moves and uses them as a cheap ripoff. A cheap imitation of the most dangerous move in all of wrestling, the Diamond Cutter. Randy, I've been doing this move since before you were even in wrestling, when you were still in your baby shorts. The RKO is nothing more than a rip-off Diamond Cutter. Nothing more. The Diamond Cutter is and always will be the most dangerous finisher on the planet. So, if you, Randy, have the cojones to come out next Riot Zone and face me, we can fight and settle this out once for all. We done here? Back to you guys.
We want to take you to a video that we received from the Outsiders earlier today.
So it cuts to a selfie camera video with the Outsiders both in it. Kevin Nash speaks first.
Hey guys! Bet you're wondering why we did what we did, huh? Why we attacked our buddies that we're so close to? Well, Sean and Hunter aren't as good to us as you would think. Where were they when we needed them? Living it up, here in the life of luxury. Where were you when I was broke as hell and jobless a few years back, huh? And when I'd call, you'd say there's nothing we can do. Screw you guys! All we need is each other. Scott Hall comes in at this point. Hey yo, we're the Outsiders. We've been crashing parties since '96 and taking everyone out in our path. When I was deep down in a bottle, all I had was Dally and Kev. You guys weren't there. Be ready, because we're coming for you, Hunter. Sean, we're coming.
The video cuts off.
My God. What do you think's gonna come of this?
All I know is DX better be ready. The Outsiders aren't playing any kind of games.
You got that straight. I remember seeing these guys firsthand at WCW. It was a really bad time back then.
Well, in either case, we're coming up to the match you wanted to see the most tonight, Bobby. John Cena and Daniel Bryan. And it starts now.
Alright, so John Cena versus Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan versus John Cena, whichever way you want to say it, doesn't matter. They have had this match before. And from what I remember, I haven't actually watched that match, but from what I've heard, it was a really, really good match in a very dark time for wrestling. Meaning it was crap on TV, but that match was good, so hopefully I can do it justice. We'll find out. So they tie up right off the bat. Cena works to ground Daniel Bryan. I mean, just trying to get him to the ground with a side headlock at first, puts him in that side headlock right out of the collar elbow tie up initially. And then just works to get him to the ground and keep him on the ground. But Daniel Bryan's really good technically. He is a sound technical athlete. So anything Cena would put Daniel Bryan in, he works out of. He finds a way to get out of these submission attempts, these grounding attempts. Eventually, they both get to a standing position, and it sees it's not going to happen the way he wants it to. Bryan starts to fight with Cena, though, with strikes. Just starts striking him. He knows he has the ground game advantage, but he tries to go in with the striking strategy. This is, I feel like, where Daniel makes his mistake. He starts striking, boom, 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 punches, kicks, everything. Then Cena starts striking, and Cena starts striking hard. You don't want to mess with a few different people in wrestling, and John Cena, I feel like, is one with very solid strikes. So you don't want to get into a fist fight with John Cena. He's a tough dude. He starts rocking Daniel Bryan with these punches inside the ring, though. Daniel swings a punch. Cena ducks under it and does his big backdrop thing. Gets up, looks at him. You can't see me. Runs off the ropes, hits that 5-knuckle shuffle, and then waits for Bryan to get up. Bryan gets up. Cena hoists him up on his shoulders, and Bryan escapes out of that off of his shoulders, rolling to the outside of the ring. Cena meets him on the outside and gives him a suplex on the outside of the ring, on that ground, sits up, just kind of looks around and smiles. Then he stands up, picks Daniel Bryan up, throws him into the stairs, and then into the barricade, and then gets back into the ring and waits. Daniel Bryan finds a way to get back in around an 8 count. He is worn out, hurting bad though. He gets in the ring. Cena hits him with a big clothesline, or the shoulder, you know, the diving shoulder things, the shoulder blocks. Cena hits him with 3 of those before he hits another backdrop, and then gets the 5-knuckle shuffle, and finally hits him with an AA. After Cena hits him with the AA, he pins him 1, 2, and Daniel Bryan kicks out right before that 3rd strike of the hand by the referee. Very, 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 very nearly loses the match right there. So, Cena sets Bryan up with, picks him up, throws him into the corner, hoists him up on the top rope, and then he climbs on the top rope and starts to put him on his shoulders for that big super AA is what I like to call it, but it's a top rope attitude adjustment or a middle rope attitude adjustment. And he gets him on his shoulders, and Bryan starts throwing elbows, just hitting him every time. Elbow, 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 and then eventually Cena falls down to the ground close to the middle of the ring. Daniel does a diving headbutt, which we haven't seen in forever from him, from my knowledge, and boom, hits him with that diving headbutt for a 2 count as well. Both men are down, but they both want to have this match. It's a good match. They're passionate. Bam, 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 bam. Cena starts punching Daniel Bryan, and Daniel starts punching Cena. Then both men fight till they get to their feet. Cena gets up and punches Daniel Bryan, kicks him in the gut, puts him back up on his shoulder for an AA. He goes to do the AA, but Daniel Bryan over rotates and lands on his feet. Cena's now on his knees where he would be normally after the move. Daniel runs to the corner, runs back, boom, hits the running knee for the 1, 2, 3, beating John Cena in the middle of the ring right then and there. After the match, John Cena is just sitting there on his knees, and Daniel Bryan has the FBW World Championship, walking away, and Cena looks pissed off. Super mad. And that's how that ends. Daniel Bryan goes backstage after a victory over John Cena. So we go backstage, and there Rob Van Dam is. He's just standing there talking to someone backstage. The guy leaves who he's talking to, and AJ Styles walks up. Rob Van Dam. AJ, let me ask you something. Do you really think you can beat me? Do you think you got what it takes to go one-on-one with the phenomenal one? Well, I don't know about all that. But yeah, I'm ready for a match. Are you ready to face me, Rob Van Dam? Mr. Monday Night? Mr. Pay-Per-View? I'm ready to go anytime, any place. Well, come on then, AJ. Let's go right here, right now. Come on, let's go. Let's do this. Nah. You'll just have to wait till the pay-per-view to go against me. That's all there is to that. You gotta wait, Rob. He leaves, walks away. A few seconds later, out of nowhere, Finn Balor runs in and drop kicks Rob Van Dam, knocks him down, and whenever Van Dam gets up, Balor hits a sling blade on him. And he gets up, comes beside Rob Van Dam, who's on the ground, kneels down beside him, and then AJ walks up beside Finn and says, "I'll be seeing you at the pay-per-view, Rob." That was too sweet. And him and Finn Balor walk off together.
Well, guys, it's time for our main event. It is a fatal four-way for the number one contender spot for Trish Stratus's FBW Women's Championship. It's Charlotte Flair facing Sasha Banks, facing Lita, facing Gail Kim. Corey, your thoughts?
I have to say, I always pull for the Queen. Anytime she's in any kind of matchup, there's no way I could see any of these other women coming close to the magnificence, to the greatness of what the Queen is. She's been an NXT champion, she's been a Divas champion, a women's champion on Raw and SmackDown. She's done everything you could possibly want to do.
You know, I never count out the old guard. I feel like Gail Kim has a really good chance at this, but at the same time, I think the real one we gotta watch for is Lita. Lita has a lot of experience. She's faced off against a lot of different kinds of opponents, so I'm pretty sure Lita can take any of these people down and be the one to go and face off against Trish Stratus at the pay-per-view.
Well, guys, we're about to find out right now who's going to be the one to come out on top.
The Fatal 4-Way Women's Championship number one contender match. The winner of this match between Gail Kim, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Lita will go on to face Trish Stratus for the FBW Women's Championship 1 week away from this episode of Riot Zone at the pay-per-view for the Women's Championship. So they all get to the ring and then they pair off. I mean, they go after each other right at the beginning. Lita and Gail Kim go after each other and they spill all to the outside of the ring while Sasha and Charlotte stay inside the ring. So Gail gets thrown into the stairs, she gets thrown into the barricade before Lita climbs onto the apron and does a Hurricane Rana to Kim on the floor. Meanwhile, in the ring, Sasha is tearing Charlotte up in a corner with punches and boots to the midsection. She's trying to set Charlotte up for that, where she gets them laid down on the ropes and jumps off of a rope and hits a double knee to the midsection. She's trying to set up for that. Charlotte's on the middle rope. Sasha bounces up in the air. Charlotte moves out of the way and hits a neck breaker on Sasha. Sasha is on the ground after that neck breaker. Charlotte gets up, starts stomping her. Charlotte throws Sasha outside the ring at this point. Whenever she does that, all three other women are on the outside. Charlotte climbs to the top rope, hits one of those beautiful, I would say it's the WWE equivalent of the BME, the best moonsault ever, because Charlotte hits a Kurt Angle looking moonsault. It's beautiful. She does a moonsault onto the other three on the outside of the ring, and all of them are down for a little bit. After that, they all start getting up, and Sasha Banks and Lita start fighting, and Gail Kim and Charlotte start fighting. They continue fighting all around the outside of the ring. Charlotte and Gail are fighting for a little bit when Kim gets the better of Flair. Hits her with a forearm or a nice kick to the gut. Charlotte's wobbled either way. Kim tries a flying seated senton from the ring apron. Charlotte catches her in a powerbomb and powerbombs her onto the ring apron she jumped from. Gail Kim is down on the outside of the ring, hurting real bad. Over where Sasha Banks and Lita are, Lita hits a DDT on Sasha on the outside of the ring. She then climbs to the top rope and goes for a moonsault. Whenever she goes for that moonsault, Sasha Banks has the wherewithal to move out of the way. Lita, though, lands on her feet, being the veteran she is. She actually lands on her feet, turns into Sasha Banks, who is running at her at the moment, hits a drop kick, and Lita falls, hitting her head smack dab off of the ring post. Lita's down on the outside. Lita's hurt, not moving, and possibly concussed. So the only two left are Charlotte and Sasha, who faced off at the very beginning. They move to the inside of the ring, and they face off and just start talking trash to each other. Then Charlotte gets slapped by Sasha. Charlotte's mad. She's got that Flair anger on her. She becomes enraged, and they both start throwing forearms at each other. In the end, both of them are wobbled. Both of them are on jelly legs. Sasha ends up drop kicking Charlotte's leg out from under her, though, and hits a DDT of her own on Charlotte. She then climbs to the top rope, looking for a big meteor on Charlotte. Double knees, straight to the chest, the chest. But Charlotte meets her at the very top rope and hits her own Spanish fly on Sasha. Both are down. Both are exhausted at this point. Charlotte's the first to get up. She gets up, and as Sasha sits up, gets to her knees, Charlotte hits the natural selection on her, then immediately moves to the figure eight, which she locks in. Sasha is tired. Sasha can't do nothing. She taps out. Charlotte moves on to the pay-per-view to face off against Trish Stratus for the FBW Women's Championship.
What a great episode of Riot Zone we have had this time, guys. That's about all we're going to have for now. Until next time, we'll be seeing you.